Ezekiel. Ezekiel, the 2nd chapter, verse 5. But I want to end up at Ezekiel 37 and 1. Ezekiel 2 and 5. Now, in the Old Testament, there are, well, we're going to start at the 4 and 5. There are words in the Old Testament that sometimes don't flow out of my mouth correctly. Because some of them I look at and know I cannot pronounce them. So what I do, I leave them alone. And when I'm in church, I say, First Lady, would you read? So since I'm at home, First Lady, would you read? You don't have it? All right. 2, 4, and 5. Ezekiel 2, verses 4 and 5.
For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God. And they, whether they will hear, or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, it shall know that there hath been a prophet among them.
May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of His word. And what I want to use for a few minutes is this thought. If you really knew the man God put before you, if you really knew the man that God put before you. Ezekiel was one of those prophets that God used in an unusual way.
Yes, sir.
When He called Ezekiel out to be a priest and a prophet, He showed him some beasts. And I'm so glad it was Ezekiel He showed it to and not me.
Amen.
Because the Bible said the beast that He showed Ezekiel, it looked like a man. It was in the form of a human, but it had 4 faces. And it was 4 beasts all connected together. Each beast had 4 faces. So each beast had how many eyes? 2 times 4. Each beast had 8 eyes. Each beast, or whatever it was, had 2 wings, 2 sets of wings. One set of wings, stretched up like this, and the other set of wings covered them, and up under the wings were man's hands. This is what He was showing Ezekiel. And then He showed Ezekiel some wheels that was with the beast. And in the center of the wheels, it looked like a light. And then around about the wheel was covered with eyes.
All right.
Now, can any of us look at something like that? All we need to say is God is watching us. He's watching us because it symbolized the presence of God. So He got Ezekiel's attention to let Ezekiel know, I'm going to be with you. And every time I say, Son of man, you're going to know it's me because you're going to remember this from now on, what I'm about to show and tell you. Yeah. So Ezekiel ended up being this priest and this prophet to what was called, what the Bible just called these folk, stiff-necked, stubborn, disobedient, hard-hearted, don't want to do right. I'm just all of that. Not these people are. Just all of that. But yet still God sent a man to let them know, I'm going to get you. If they knew what this man was about, they would have changed every time the Lord said, speak to them. They would have changed. And the things that God put for Ezekiel through, some of us would not have gone through this, no doubt about it in my mind. We would have said, Lord, just take me and you deal with them. He told Ezekiel, what some things I want you to do in front of these people, Ezekiel, so they'll know who I am. Yes. So Ezekiel, one part of that in Ezekiel, he told Ezekiel, he said, Ezekiel, I want you to cook your meat. Cook your food, Ezekiel, in front of the people. But I want you to use dung from men to heat it. Because it's gas. You can light it up and it'll burn. Right. But I'm used to, sometime I charcoal grill some stuff on the grill. And so you get the right kind of charcoal And then sometimes you want the flavor to be apple flavor.
Yeah.
You get some apple chips and throw on top of the charcoal.
Right.
You know how you do that? You want to have that pear flavor to it.
Right.
You throw some pear chips in there, and that what happens while it's cooking, that heat and that aroma gets into your meat.
Yes.
Could you imagine what that tastes like? You cook with minced down,
My.
and then he tell you to eat it in front of these people?
Wow.
Come on, Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Ezekiel went through because God chose him to go through.
Yeah.
And then he got to a point and said, all right, Ezekiel, I'm going to change that. You don't have to use men dung no more. You're going to use the animals dung. What's the difference? The flavor is still nasty. And then Ezekiel, every time he told him, Ezekiel, I need you to prophesy to these people, Ezekiel did exactly what the Lord told him. And then as we go further down into Ezekiel, we find out that God told Ezekiel one day, Ezekiel, I'm going to take your wife. And when I take her, Ezekiel, I don't want you to cry.
Yeah.
I love the Lord, but there's something I can't do. He told Ezekiel, I don't want you moan privately.
Right.
You get out in front of the people, don't even cover up your face.
Right.
You show the people that she's gone. And then when they fix dinner for you, don't even eat the funeral food. Y'all know after we have a funeral, we have what is called a repast.
Right.
He told Ezekiel, don't even eat it. Don't have a repast. Let them have it. Don't you eat the repast. All of this because God wanted to let his people know, I have a prophet amongst them. Now it's 11:22, so I'm getting ready to wrap this up. I said 11:30, right?
Right.
Brother Bobby, I wish I could tune up because I like to hear you play.
Yeah.
You won't get a chance. He left nothing out.
Right.
He told Ezekiel, I want you to prophesy to the folk in the mountain. Ezekiel, prophesy to the folk in the valley.
Yes.
Ezekiel, go to my temple and prophesy against them false prophets
Right.
that's up in my house. Ezekiel, prophesy.
Yeah.
Tell them what I said. And by the time we get to the 37th chapter, the first verse, it's easy to understand for me. It's easy to understand why Ezekiel answered God the way he answered God. He asked Ezekiel when he set him in the valley of the dry bones, he asked Ezekiel, can these bones, what did he say? Can these bones? All up until then, he told Ezekiel what to say. Now you're going to get here and Ezekiel spun out. I'm done. What can I say? Everything you told me to say, I've said what you told me to say. You never asked me anything. You never asked me if you want me to take my wife. You never asked me to eat the darn flavored food. You never asked me. You told me. So now you want to ask me? If these hard-headed folk in this valley, the ones you put me as an example in front of, you want to ask me if they can live? Ezekiel told God, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
You know. Because you know what they put me through for your name's sake. Well, Ezekiel, because these folk are in this valley, and I already told you I'm sending you to some disobedient, hard-headed people, stiff-necked people, folk that don't want to obey me at all, folk that have turned from me. I told you in the beginning I'm sending you to these people. Just because they don't know who they have amongst them does not negate the fact that I put prophecy in your mouth.
Yes.
And because I put prophecy in your mouth, Ezekiel, you can say a word and they shall. You can say a word and they do what? They shall live. So it's up to you, Ezekiel. You said it's going to happen. Because they need to know that you are the one that I put here that can speak life into a dead situation. You're the one that can speak life into something that everybody thought there was a... Listen, let me calm down because he might hit a note on that one. In that valley, the Bible said it was a valley.
Yes.
And it was full of dry bones. It was full of situations that had been so dried up, and till folk died in despair. Folk died in disbelief. Folk died with diseases. Then you got the folk that died in no hope. And then all of that was opened up as an embarrassment for everybody that walked by could see your embarrassment. Because it was in an open valley. But they didn't know who they had amongst them.
Right.
God had prepared a man.
Yes.
Okay, I want to do this.
Yeah.
God had prepared a man
Yeah.
that he gave the power to speak to dead, dried up situations. Because he put that man there for those people. And that man went through and did what God asked him to do. So he had the power and the authority to speak into their lives. Even though it looked like there was no point of return. But because Ezekiel went through, God gave him the voice of restoration.
Right. Yes, sir.
And when Ezekiel spoke, the Bible tells me there was a great noise going on. Because all those bones had to find each other.
Right.
All that dry stuff had to go away. It had to go. Because Ezekiel went through. And because Ezekiel went through, the power was in his voice.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you have to go to the man of God and say, I need you to speak over my life. And when he speaks over your life, things will start coming together. Things will start be put in place. It's Superintendent said I can make the altar call. Now I just got through giving you tidbits of Ezekiel. Trust me, I could have went a whole lot further. But I'm obedient to what the Spirit says, and he's the Spirit of this house. He said 11:30, I'm giving him some change. But there may be someone here that's tired of their dried up situation. There may be someone here tired of being ashamed of their situation. I want you to know there's a man of God that can speak into that situation. Whatever your situation is, and no matter what it is, God has placed a prophet amongst you that can speak into the situation and cause it to change. If anybody's ready for a change today, come on, come on, come on. If you're ready for a change, we serve a God of change. What you talking about? You ready for your situation to change?